I'm having problems with my account.
I'm just having problems.
Haven't you had problems ever since we started this damn thing? It's always something with you, Bango Mike.
I'm consistent.
Bongo Mike, I think we're past our 1 year anniversary.
What?
We've been doing this thing a year, dude.
Wow.
I just sat down and looked at it. I'm like, wait a minute. It's over a year.
Are you guys going out to dinner to celebrate?
Time flies. Now, we're going to make it a year with the two mics.
Nice. When was that? When was the official?
It looked like it was January.
Well, that was for us, but
yeah.
Oh, Mike Dermont.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back and look and see when I did the first podcast with you guys.
You don't have that on the top of your tip of your tongue?
Hold on a second. No. I had to look at my calendar. No.
Yeah.
Me and Mike.
So Pete,
yeah.
You were in Florida. Is that where you were?
I was in South Lake Forest. Yes, it was great. I got the tourist tan and left.
You look like you got a little rosy cheek there, my friend.
Well,
I had to put on my blush. Is that blush or is it rouge?
Rouge.
Maja.
Yeah, I got a little bits, got a taste of God's country and came out. It'd be kind of cool if all three of us were out there and did a show.
Look,
that would be fantastic.
Freaky Tiki.
You know where Freaky Tiki is, Mike?
Negative, sir. Where is it?
Right on St. Pete's Beach on the beach side, kind of maybe like a quarter mile from where the Don Cesar is located.
Okay. Yeah. I know the Don Cesar. There's so many freaking bars down there.
That's a surf shop, not a bar.
And surf shops.
Nice recovery.
That's what you need to do is open a bar and surf shop.
You know what you should do?
I'm looking to retire, Mike, not add more work into my life.
Mike, are you going to retire down there? Is that kind of the plan?
Right now I got 9 years left or so. So
it'll go like that.
God, you're young.
Young guy. Some young guy.
Some young guy.
Some young guy.
Some young guy. So hey, yesterday I got pictures for you, Pete. Very good show at the Sundance.
Talk to me
with our acoustic show.
Oh,
he thought you were talking about the other show. When he's doing this, he's doing Wolfgang Paul and Tom Sawyer.
I didn't do anything on Saturday night. I did taxes in the afternoon, and then I had a housewarming party dinner thing. So I saw no music outside of what I played yesterday. That was it.
How was the acoustic?
It was good. It's always a very different show, but a lot of people came out. April Love and Johnny Urich brought a crew of people, and they got to see something a little bit different than what you would normally see when it's the electric set.
Where was that show at, Michael?
At Sundance Saloon.
Sundance? In the living room, the front room there?
In the living room, yeah. So, it was a lot of fun, and people enjoyed it, and, we had it's always fun to kind of mix it up a little bit rather than doing an electric set. You come out and do this acoustic set. Now you're reworking the songs you play electrically, and we added probably about 10 songs that we don't normally play, because it was acoustic. So we did Sniffing the Tears, Driver's Seat, and From the Beginning from ELP. Those are songs we don't typically cover.
Acoustic shows, that puts the spotlight on you, dude, doesn't it?
100%. I was primary drummer for that, which really I was using a cajon and a djembe.
Wouldn't you call yourself a percussionist more than a drummer?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not to split hairs here, but you, my friend, are a percussionist.
More so than, that's where I focused in on, so, can I play drums? Yes. Do I play drums? I haven't played drums in a band in 25 years.
Well, you can play drums and I can play with madness. Can I play with madness?
He's nice.
So, Pete, how long were you in Florida? You were there, you're back. How long was
it? Quick work week, just down there. No,
nice.
But no work. I did go on a canal, and I just happened to go by this boat that said Top Dog. I'm like, damn, that's a big boat.
He's top dog.
Portillo.
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 Yep, that's right.
But he's sold out, right? He did.
Oh yeah.
Portillo's not involved.
No,
Well, that's his boat.
yeah, he bought that boat, I believe, after he sold the Portillo's business, right? Now, is he involved in the ones in Florida, though? I thought that he was still involved in some of them, not the ones in Chicago. No,
No
I
Savi.
I wouldn't. I mean, the money that guy made off of slinging dogs,
But I
he's
didn't know he was a Marine, man. He's got that flag flying proud. I'm like, hey, man, thank you. Thank you for your
that's cool,
service.
man.
God bless America. And
That's
now,
cool. And the quality has gone downhill ever since.
You think so?
Oh my God. I can't eat there anymore. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I'm not a fan of at all. No.
Wow.
There's so many other, and this goes around. I see this on Facebook all the time. Where's the best beef? Johnny's, Al's. I mean, there's so many other places to go to. Even in the burbs out here, I've got some local places here in Carroll Stream and Bloomingdale that I would drive past two Portillos to get to.
Wow.
Sorry.
How about the burgers? You don't like the burgers?
Yeah. I think it's hit or miss. I really do. It doesn't have that consistency, and you lose that the bigger you get, right? I mean, I'm not going to call them a franchise, and I certainly don't want to diss the people who like that food. It's not for me.
People say that though, that
Yeah,
that the
I
quality's
just
gone
think
down. I haven't
it's
noticed it, but
yeah.
I don't eat
I
there
mean,
all
to
the
me, the
time
beef
either.
is just too damn peppery. It used to have a really good flavor. Now it's just got, and now you'll think about that. Think about it when the next time you're eating it. See if it has like a peppery taste to it. I'm talking pepper, like shaking the salt and pepper.
It's funny when I go there, I very rarely do I get beef.
You do the
I
burger?
usually get a hot dog or a burger or a
Yeah.
chicken sandwich. So maybe I haven't had the beef in a while. So
Yeah.
I do Bona beef.
Bona, I like Bona beef. I think Bona's got a good beef over there, Bona. Walk in hungry, walk in hungry, come out with a Bona.
And Johnny's is great too. I mean,
Johnny's is
I try not to eat a lot of Italian beefs,
Well, I got to give my buddy Sporty. Oh, Sporty's over here in Bloomingdale, Rocco, man. I mean, they have got a great beef. They got a great burger. They got a great dog. Small place, quality control, world famous chicken tenders. I'm telling you, the food is out of this park.
I do like a good chicken tender.
I'm telling you what, man. Come to Bloomingdale. We'll go grab lunch over there sometime. You will not be disappointed. And the honey mustard they serve with that, you could take a bath in it and lick yourself clean. It's that good.
I got that visual now.
yeah, I got. Ugh. I don't go that far west.
I wanted to just create an everlasting impression, and I think I just did.
What I always liked about Portillo's was no matter how long that line was, they had that system down where
my God.
they took that bam, 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 bam.
Number 122, this one's for you. Number 334, out the door. No, they do. They got it down, man.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I listen, I go there enough where I do enjoy it, but I do like their cheese fries. But I have to go back and now try the beef. I have to give you my review.
Beef. Yeah, we're gonna get sued for that one, man. Sorry, Pete.
Hey, everyone's entitled to
it's
an
only
opinion.
one man's opinion.
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, what you like, maybe other people don't. You never know.
That's right.
I'll tell you, Sporties, and that sounds good. You've piqued my interest with this.
We'll put Sporties on here. I'll send it over to
this chicken tender. We're no longer talking about music. We're now talking about food.
Hey, but Rocco, the owner of Sporty, she's a huge supporter of what I do musically. Big fan of Wolfie's. In fact, Wolfie and Tavo, myself, Mojo, we'll get together, once every few months. We'll go to Sporty's and just knock it out of the park, man. Excellent. He's a strong supporter of the Chicago music scene.
So do we have Mojo here today?
I don't think. No, I thought we had Jim was our guest today.
We got Kenobi.
Yeah, Jimmy Wan Kenobi, photographer.
Did I miss something? All kinds of problems today.
Yeah,
I thought we had Mojo.
No, he's got his mojo working today.
Kenobi's been in the calendar for a while. Oh, sorry, you don't do calendars. I understand.
I do.
You know what? One of these days, I'm gonna figure.
One of these days,
Alice. Boom. You need help with that calendar, Mike? Is that the problem?
You know what it is I'm not Gmail on my Yahoo. So all that stuff is tied to the Gmail.
You know what that sounds like? Your problem, not mine.
a YP, not a NP.
Don't you remember I had like a printout of the I don't know where it was. I think it was the show for Gordy, and I had this print. People were like, "These are wrong." I'm like, "Well, I printed it
Oh,
out
I
a
do
week."
remember that. Didn't you do that on your with your stone and chisel? Weren't you like printing it out on that? I mean, I'm not trying to date you here, but he's got the print. We're out of ink, Aunt Mabel.
Oh,
Oh, the smell of the ditto. God, that smell. They should make a cologne of that stuff, right? We just air fresh.
yeah. Little
Oh,
Drakkar. Give me an
little
old school cologne.
ditto.
Car.
Drakkar Noir.
Did anybody go other than Beth? Did anybody go see Tom Sawyer and Millhouse?
I did not. Saturday, Debbie and I spent the entire day from 9 a.m. until God, what time did we leave? It was a good 7, 8 hour day watching volleyball.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it was a tournament for my oldest daughter, Ava, is in volleyball. She plays at COD, and this was kind of like an open tournament. There was no coaches, but they had refs, and it was an open league. They were playing women that were like in the 45 and older group, and it was
Oh wow.
awesome to watch. Oh yeah, and dudes. I mean, it was a mix, right? So you had
Yeah.
the guys and the women over here, and it was just amazing to watch people my age kick the crap out of teenagers. It was fantastic watching these women beat the teenagers.
Did you say 8 hours?
Yeah, we were there pretty much 8 hours. It was a whole
So
day.
8 hours you're sitting on one of those bleacher benches?
So we have those little portable things that you can fold and sit.
Ah,
Without those, I wouldn't have made it. But I'm
I was
telling
gonna
you, I was exhausted by the time I got home. And sitting is hard work for guys our age. It really is.
well, I just couldn't picture. I know what you're talking about. There's those little seats they clip
Yeah.
onto the
Bleacher
bleacher and you have a
seats.
back. I couldn't imagine sitting 2 hours on a bleacher.
No, it's brutal. But
Yeah.
I think we were there 7 or 8 hours by the time we got out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long day.
It's a
That's a
long
lot.
day. Yeah, it certainly was. And then yeah, then we got home. I didn't want to cook, so we went over to La Campana here in Bloomingdale, Mexican food.
Uh-huh.
Again, I'm telling you, Bloomingdale has some of the best friggin' restaurants, man. It was probably the best Mexican meal I can remember having in many, many years. And we eat there all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
Awesome.
Then I came home and I proceeded just to fall asleep. I think I was asleep by 8:30 on
It's a
Saturday.
long day though.
Yeah.
A long day.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Here's
to answer your question, no, I didn't make it up to see Tom Sawyer, unfortunately. But I knew once that day started, there's no way I was going out.
A long day.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost track on how many solos the Wolfmeister did. He was cranking.
So I'm going to call the fire department. We got time for one more.
Did you go, Pete?
No, I was watching Beth's videos. I'm like,
Oh.
damn.
Yeah. Well, isn't Rush pretty much one long drum solo anyway, and they just put guitars and bass to it? I mean, that was what I always thought. I don't know.
Well, believe it or not, the drummer, the actual drummer, Neil Peart, he was the lyricist for the band. So he wrote almost every song.
Yes.
He was the lyricist.
But he's not the original drummer. There was a drummer before Neil Peart.
Yeah. Not talking about that guy, the guy from the first
album.
album.
The first album, which by the way was a rocking album.
It's a great album. I own it. It's awesome.
Yeah, but Neil Peart was the lyricist behind all that.
Yeah. Which is very rare. Usually the drummer isn't the guy writing the stuff. You know,
he was the professor, man.
He was the professor.
That's like Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. A lot of the music that they have,
the bass player.
He comes to the band with a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah, he was the main dude writing.
The main dude, lyricist, and so on and so forth.
Bass players are very important.
They're very important.
Let's get some of this stuff out. Mikey O, what do you got coming up?
The Broken Oar on April, the first Saturday in the month. What is that? April 5th. I'm going to be at the Broken Oar with the Black Diamond Sessions. And that's going to be 2:30 to 6. And we've got Johnny Martinez on guitar and Sean McKee on guitar and Mike Dermont's best friend, Mitch the Lip.
Mitch the Lip.
Mitch is coming in to do a little trumpet. And we also got the trombone player from Bella Kane, Mike.
You know the guy, phenomenal. Mike? He's fantastic. Mike. Wasn't he at the Carrie Divine event? He played there too, right?
He was, but he played with us last Thursday at the Wooden Nickel. Okay. And I believe him and Mitch are going to come there for the show on that side. Mike Colbens.
Yeah. All I know is the guy's amazing. And he's not just a trombone player. He plays multiple instruments, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think he does.
Yeah, he's one of those freaky prodigy guys. Weird.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's next on the hit list.
Outstanding.
Yeah. And then we're going to be at the Mosquitos are going to be at Sundance Saloon on April 19th, which is a Saturday. We are 7 to 9. And then after us is Dead Fest. So I know Mike Dermont's a huge Deadhead. He will not be there for that show.
Yep. The Dead and Fish, man, they're right there. It's neck and neck with those guys. It's a race to the bottom. Hey, everyone's got their flavor, man. You got the Grateful, I was going to say the Walking Dead, the Grateful Dead, Fish, and Portillo's. I mean, it's all kind
Portillo's, right.
Here we go.
He was on, and then he went off.
Yep.
There he is.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. You saved us. He saved us.
He's coming on. I can feel it.
Hold on a second. Use the Force, Jim. Use the Force. The Force is strong with this one, but his technology sucks.
There he is.
There he is.
Got no audio.
And he's got to hit the mute button. Feel the Force.
Now we got him.
Jimmy Kenobi.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, I'm just living the dream, you know.
Wake up. It's a nightmare.
Take a number,
on, Jim.
Where's the camera?
It's right behind me there.
Oh, here you go. Okay.
You said, "Where's the camera?" I'm like, dude, he's on it. We can see him.
Jim, who are you?
I am Jim Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I am not Jim Obos.
No, you're not Jim Obos.
But sound very similar.
Different dude.
And you're both photographers. You're both fantastic photographers, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, Jim's a good guy.
He's awesome. I love Jim.
Yeah, you've been
I love
around
both
a long time.
Jims. I love both Jims.
Yeah, it's a great name, isn't it?
Do you miss going to Photomax?
Photomax. What's Photomax?
Weren't those little houses where you drop
you drop the film in?
Oh, Photomat. Yeah.
Photomat.
Yeah.
Photomat. Yeah.
Well, like close enough.
Like the little huts.
Those things were awesome, man.
Yeah. I was working on some stuff. I don't know if you can see this at all, how it
Oh
looks.
yeah. Oh, Tom
Hey,
Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, it was my, I'm a big Rush fan. I never had the opportunity. I always had something going on those days, and I was actually able to make it out there on Saturday. And
Nice.
wow, let me tell you something. I mean, I'm sure Mike, you've probably seen the show. Those guys are the real deal.
They are amazingly talented. Everyone knows, of course, Wolfgang, right? His
Yeah,
amazing drumming. But you got Brett Johnson on guitar,
yeah.
which Brett, man, the guy, I've done a few things with him, whether it's Coterie events or just some other things. The guy is a fantastic musician, has a great voice as well. And then you have the master, Mr. Tony Mock, who, he does, not only plays bass and keys, he sings. I've known Tony for about as long as I've known Tavo Paul. So that probably goes back to when I was 17 years old. I've been
Oh,
in a lot
okay,
of different bands
okay.
with him. So yeah, yeah, Tony's an amazing guy. The huge talent. It's amazing what three musicians can do. Great band.
Yeah, I was just blown away, and to be able to hit those high notes like Geddy Lee. I mean, for Tony, it seemed like it was like no sweat for him.
I used to love singing with Tony when I was lead singer, he was bass player, backup vocals, and he made me sound really good. He could really lock in with those. And we used to joke about it years later, like no one could sing like, with me like Tony could, man. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he's always had that high register. Yeah, he's a very talented guy.
Yeah, yeah. I was just it was a great show over at the Sundance Saloon.
Yep.
So
Well,
Good.
Jim, we saw all those pictures and videos. That was you, right?
the 100 million that I sent you.
You, I mean, you're pretty good photographer, right? How'd you get into this biz?
um, well, I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now.
Two tree?
Up to
two,
Trey.
2 3 weeks, and 2 3 snifters of brandy. But no, I've been doing this for a long time. 30 plus years. I started the business as a wedding photographer. I've always loved photography, and early on when I was probably 20, 21 years old, studio reached out to me, because I had taken some clients from him, and he gave me a little sales pitch and says, "Hey, how about if you let me book the weddings and you just go out and shoot them?" And so they handled a lot of the customer relations, but I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I worked with a company called it was Picture This, and then it was Churchill Photography. But I probably photographed 500 weddings. I mean, it's interesting and amazing how sometimes I run into people that I photographed their weddings, many, many years ago. But it's probably been 8 years since I've done a wedding. I mean, I've done the little small things, like David Eakens got married last year, and he asked me to photograph his. They just did some pictures at home, little things like that, But yeah, that's where I started, and then I worked for the studio part time, and so then I was handling some of my own customers, and I learned studio lighting, posing, all that good stuff, and you know now being where I'm at in the business, I realize that how blessed I am to have the good training and the solid foundation of photography that I have. I mean, a lot of people out there, they just figure it out as they're self-taught, and there's nothing wrong. Everybody got to start out somewhere, But I was able to get that experience, and then so I work for a printing company full time, and I have for my whole life, but one of the companies went out of business, like 18 years ago, 20 years ago, and I decided I was going to try to make it as a full-time photographer, a wedding photographer. But we just didn't really have the work at the studio in order for them to support me. And so back to work at the printing company I went, so my dream was short lived, but there's wedding photographers like in Florida. That's all they do is, they work Saturdays, Sundays, Friday weddings. And, they're doing weddings all year round. And, you know, that's the life that they can live, down there but, like here, November, December, January, February, March, not a whole lot of wedding customers out there, so.
Our weather not conducive to that unless you're doing like, snow weddings, and there's not too many snow weddings taking place.
Right. And then, my life kind of changed, and I moved out to Woodstock, and, a couple main things happened to me. So the owner of the studio, probably about 7 years ago, he died of cancer. And, so I wasn't really doing anything with my camera. And, I was born and raised in Waukegan, and then I moved all the way out to Woodstock. And, I got no family, no friends, nobody out there. Woodstock's a ways from Waukegan. It's over an hour. Right after COVID, Carrie Devine's band, Lava Rock, those guys played in the square at Woodstock. And, everybody was quarantined, forever. And I was like, man, I'm going out there. It's Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Aerosmith, and AC/DC. And, my fiance, Lori, it's really not her kind of music. And I'm just like, well, I'm taking my camera with me. So, I met, Dan Peters, I met Carrie there, Tommy Heslin, Dougie Schoenbeck. I took some pictures of those guys, and then, I was like, oh, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And then, I ran into Pino Farina Band, and those guys were playing, I think, at the Turkey Testicle Festival, right here in Huntley. And I went over there, took some pictures of them, and then I shot them again over at Nico's. And Bryant there, I actually took a video of them, which was kind of uncanny for me. And I posted it on Facebook, and Bryant, the manager, reached out to me, and he's like, oh, man, that video is really nice. Can I share it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I didn't really have a circle of people to hang around with. And Lori was working late nights, and it was summertime. And I think, so this was probably 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I think I probably shot 30 gigs with those guys. I wasn't a big social media person. I really had no idea what was going on. Next thing Mike reaches out to me, and I go to a coterie, and everywhere I went to take pictures, everybody's like, "Oh, I know you're Pino's guy." I wanted to get a t-shirt on the back that said Pino's guy. But I love those guys like family. I spent a lot of time with them, and I didn't really know that this was going to morph into a business, but it's doing what I love, and that's the photography part. And I am a full-blown music lover, and so the two just fit together. Um, I actually just got off the phone with this guy Chris from a band called Eye of the Nile, a Maiden tribute band. He reached out to me. They're coming to the Vixen, I think, like April 12th, and they're looking to have me do some pictures for them. So, and big shout out to Jeff Kleinschmidt. Jeff gave him my name, so it's much appreciated. And I never really have been around a community of people like the musicians. You guys are just nothing like I've ever seen. And at the time, I needed friends and people in my life. and you guys were like an instant heroin fix for the heroin addict. You know what I mean? And it really was. When I came and shot the Coterie event, I think maybe the first one was when Chris had the heart attack.
Yeah, that was the
And
one at the Rock House, right?
Rock
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
shoot got cut a little bit short.
yeah, yeah. God bless him. He couldn't have. I always said, and I told you this before, Mike. He couldn't have had his heart attack in a better place. With the right people around him. So I'm not a super religious guy, but somebody is watching over Chris wherever he is. Where's that? Where's that Rosie? Where's he at?
He's probably at home practicing his drums, man. He's warming up for he's going to help us with a Friction reunion while our drummer who lives in Florida, Rhodes, is actually learning our entire set. So when it
Oh,
comes time to start practicing, he'll be ready to get us warmed up, man. Rhodes is such a great guy. Then you're right. That was
he is.
fine intervention on that one, man.
Yeah, he is an amazing guy, and meeting Mike, both the Mikes, and now I guess I got to add Pete into that group,
Oh yeah.
So
You don't
Wide
have to. You
exposure.
don't have to add Pete.
Pete's not a musician, so okay.
Oh yeah, he's a musician.
He's a bass player.
He's a
Oh,
musician.
are you a bass
Oh,
player?
yeah.
Okay.
Wanna be.
Wannabe. He's a
You-
wannabe.
Jim, you got me interested, and I'm sure there's people listening and watching. They're interested too. I'm sure you want to make a little money. Like, where do people get a hold of you to get your
So
services?
so right now, probably the best thing for anybody to do is just messenger me on Facebook. I'm on it.
I have his phone number. I'll just go ahead and post it for
All
you,
right,
Jim.
I'll put it
I'm
right.
just kidding.
We know how to get a hold of him.
You
I got
can
it
you
on the
can
bathroom wall.
you can put it out there. I'll give you my number. You
It's
ready?
all good. Yeah.
Go.
I wanted to see it scrolling across the screen.
He'll edit it in there. We have to edit that.
I'm
guy.
good,
We'll
but
edit
not that
that.
good.
Okay, so it's 847-693-8403.
Got it.
So
All
you're
right.
basically a freelance. It's only doing the bands. Would you do weddings? If someone came to you and said, "Hey, shoot my wedding," would you do that, or you
Weddings are a
just
pain in
really
the
kind
ass. You
of?
don't want to do that.
Hey,
If
shoot
No,
my
just
wife.
asking.
Wait, what?
if
The money's
you know,
right.
not that I couldn't handle it, a little bit for me with the weddings is, people expect you to archive things and hang on to the files forever.
Like medical records.
Yeah, more like death certificates and
And when you're doing the weddings, granted you're being hired for the wedding and you're being hired to photo bands, but I'm gonna think that the bands aren't as critical as the wedding people are gonna be, right? I mean, they're gonna
right.
be,
Yeah,
we're paying you
yeah,
a lot of money. We want these pictures perfect. I look
yeah.
fat in that picture. Can't you make me look skinnier? Lose weight. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you know, the a lot of photographers would never want to do a wedding. Um, I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a good side gig for me. It was something that I love to do. You meet a lot of nice people. I have a reasonable personality. Some people like me, and you're all supposed to say, "Yeah, we like you,
We
Jim."
I
do.
haven't
We
heard
do.
anybody say a bad thing about you, Jim. I didn't want to cut you off. I have a tendency of doing that. Yeah, you're fantastic.
Jim,
That's
who's the most photogenic in a band when you take pictures? Like which
uh, you
bass,
know,
guitar, lead singer?
Depends on the
uh,
band, man.
Oh,
yeah,
wait, Pino.
it depends. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know how he gets pictures of Pino. Pino's all over the goddamn stage, man. The guy does not stay still.
I remember like one of the first times I shot him. I
He
said to
got like
myself,
half his head.
I'm like this. I was like, "Where is he? Where is he? He's over here. He's over there."
Yeah.
Well, next thing you know, he's tapping me on the shoulder. He's off the stage. So, and the thing about Pino is that well, we all know how humble he is, but he is. I can guarantee you, I'll never meet a nicer person. He spends time with the fans. He loves what he does. every single fan is important to them. I've been around a lot of bands and, seen the gatherings afterwards, and there's nothing like a Pino gathering, so, and that keeps that famiglia, it keeps them coming to the shows, so you got to just love those guys. So,
But when you show up with that camera and you're pointing at like me, I would always screw up. Do you screw up everybody? You screw up their timing when they all of a sudden they see you?
I get you off on a different beat,
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't pay attention to it, Pete. Just, look through
Tendy's
the
not
eye,
there.
man.
I,
Not there.
it's funny when I started out, a lot of times for some reason, the bass players, they don't seem to want to move around a little bit, but
We're not that mobile, Jim.
well, whatever, but I've learned that every band's different, and there's a lot of bass players out there that shake it and move it. Swick is definitely one of them. Bill Furlong from 16 Candles. There's tons of them out there, so everybody up on the stage is capable of lighting a fire, so to speak, so. And that was one thing I love about Pino Farina Band is there's always activity, and my second favorite band that I like is Rumor Has It. And a big shout out to David Eakens today.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Dave.
birthday, David.
Should we sing it?
Happy birthday to you. Oh, just got
Happy
demonetized
birthday
again.
to you.
Happy birthday, dear
Birthday.
David.
Happy birthday
you.
to you.
I can't believe that guy is 60 years old. When I saw that, I was like, there's no freaking way David Eakins is 60 years old.
Right.
He's fantastic. Not that 60 is old, right? I mean, I'm looking at 60 here in a couple of years, and I was like, I thought he was younger than I was.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's another band that's a favorite of mine. Those guys, they play it all, they hit it all. I mean, and those guys have been around for a long time. I think it's been over 20 years.
Yeah.
I know he's told me the story about it, and it's changed, and even their bass player, Joe
Bush Bogger.
Yeah.
You got it, Harry Carey.
Hello again. Hey.
It's Bush something. I'm gonna leave it. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we do, yeah, Joe.
Yeah, he left, and then Bill stepped out, and Joe came back. So, and I see
Joe's been on the scene for a while. He worked with Seventh Heaven for years too, as one of their roadies, one of their guitar techs.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that part about him. He is. Yeah.
Super cool.
Does light play a role when you're taking the pics? Because you can't use a flash, right?
I do a lot of stuff for Sohopt for my great friend Lance Lamb over there at Sohopt. Hi, Lance.
That's Debbie over there.
Hey, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Look like Lance. A little bit like Lance.
And
We got
go
some
ahead,
viewers
Mike.
back.
No, she heard the talking, so she wanted to come in and just like listen. So
Yeah, so Lance, he's got and he knows it, but they're looking to upgrade whenever he can. But shooting over there is really difficult.
Yeah.
And so I like over there, I'll use a flash for a few things. I try to get away with it, but you got three guys in a band, and you got one guy whose face is on fire with light.
Yeah.
And it's not the only place. This happens at a lot of places. Like when a band calls me and they want to book me, to have me photograph them on a live performance. To me, it's the most important thing that I want to make the band look as good as possible, and the venue is the biggest start to that. And so not going to knock any venues because we need all the venues, and I'll shoot wherever I can, but I got a couple gigs that are in waiting. They're just waiting. They got a couple, one of them's gonna be booked at Bub City, so I want to shoot over at Bub City. But like my favorite place to shoot, of course, is at the Vixen. they got great sound, they got a great stage, they got a great light setup. They bring in some big acts over there. Jeff Kleinschmidt really does a great job with that kind of stuff. And to me, if I could shoot every gig at the Vixen, that's what that would be my ultimate goal.
Do you shoot one at a time or you burst?
Oh, images? Oh, geez. I'll shoot. I try not to, but sometimes I'll shoot. My camera will shoot. It'll shoot up to 20 frames a second, but it'll only shoot them in JPEGs. But I sometimes I'll shoot like 12 frames a second. So like when I shot Wolfie Saturday, you know that guy. So I use pretty high end equipment that works really well in low light because everything in photography it all revolves. Everything is all about the light. Okay. And if you don't have good quality light, then you got to run your ISO up, which is the camera's sensitivity to light. And when you run the ISO up, then you get noise in the pictures. Um, but I can run my ISO up really, really high. And if I have to denoise the images, I can do some things to help them so that they don't come out grainy. Um, my quality standards they're pretty high. I'm pretty picky, and I mean, if it was up to me and I went out and shot a band, I'd be happy if I could just deliver 20 images to the band. 20 killer shots that everybody's gonna go, oh.
20 out of how many snaps?
Oh, I may shoot
Hundreds.
I may shoot, I may shoot I may shoot 1,000. So,
Right.
there's every photographer's got they got their own style. And, some of my roots are driven from shooting on film. Like when I shot weddings, every time I clicked the shutter button for the cost of the film and the price of the developing and the print, it was $3 a pop. So, we shot on large format cameras, big negatives, 120 film, Hasselblad cameras. We were doing all the high end weddings on the North Shore, big dollar stuff. Yeah, every time you press the button, it's $3. And, sometimes, like near the end of the night, everybody's loaded at the reception and they're like, hey, check my picture. And I'm like, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, you look great right now.
You charge them not to use it.
So I'd be lying if I didn't, uh, go behind the camera and then just reach up to the flash and just fire the flash. And I'm like, there you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
We were making fun earlier about Photomat.
Uh-huh.
I called Photomax. Come on, everybody remembers dropping off those things and then waiting.
Oh, yeah.
Back and,
Yeah.
You got George Costanza's pictures by accident. But what was the biggest technological advancement that has really made your life easier taking pictures? What year and what was the device?
Well, probably the biggest thing was, when things went from film to digital. So, backing up to my history a little bit, I mean, when I was 15, I worked at, it was a Wolf camera is what it was, but it was called Belvedere Camera. We were owned by a photo. So this is like in 79, 80, 81, 82. And they were owned by a photo processing company. Okay. We'd sell a $250 Canon AE1 camera and make like $12 on it. Okay. we want to get the customer in and we want to sell them, other lenses, filters, a bag, a strap, lens cleaning tissue, all the stuff that they need. And it was all really for the photo processing. So back then, like the biggest thing that happened was we went to 24-hour processing. So, the driver would come, at 10 a.m. in the morning and he would pick up all the film from the day before, and then he'd be back uh the next morning and drop off everything that was processed. So the other thing that happened there, so I had a lot of opportunity to see tons of equipment, meet all kinds of people. Met a guy that was a photographer for Rand McNally maps, and photograph things from a plane, and he showed me a plane, literally a plane that was built around a camera that would shoot out of the floor of the plane, and the optics on these cameras were just the finest German optics that money could buy. I mean, you could see the hair on a gnat from 1,000 feet. It was just crazy. But yeah, so I met a lot of people there, and one of the girls that I work with there at the camera store, Marsha Rules is her name. She's still she lives in Arizona, but she actually went to work for Sports Illustrated and worked there for a few years. She got a picture of Andre Dawson from the Cubs. He took a pitch with the ball right on his face.
I remember that picture.
Yeah, that was her shot.
I remember that shot.
So she would get down on the press box there in Wrigley Field. She would, steal film from the camera store, 6 rolls of film, it's a lot of money. And then, steal the processing. I guess it was one of the perks, and I never knew it until like 10 years ago. She told me on a phone call. She's like, "Oh yeah."
Do you
But
keep
anyways,
the swimsuit issues too? Do you have any of those laying around?
no swimsuit issues.
Kathy Ireland, kind of going back.
No.
I'm asking for a friend. I'm sorry.
So she calls, she's got this shot, she processes it in her own dark room, and they offer $50 for it. Now mind you, it cost her almost that much to park down in Wrigley Field. And then she got, her costs and everything. And that she's like, "That's it, $50." And he's like, "Marsha, I got a lot of other stuff we can put on the cover. If you decide you change your mind, this is the deadline. You call me by this time, and I can still get it in." And sure enough, she hemmed and hawed and pissed and moaned and waited till the last minute, and finally, she said, "I'll do it." And then, of course, it ended up in a job opportunity for her, so. But yeah, that whole Wolf camera era, so now one of the buildings, there were like 30 stores. One of them is in Aurora, and it's now called ProCam. And so some of those guys actually still worked in the chain back then. And I was just like, holy cow. I kind of feel like at home when I go into the camera store. I didn't really realize at the time, but they were probably some of the best times of my life, so working with what I love, so I can get my hands on a camera, so.
Jim, I always admire the pictures that you take, and I notice you do a lot of black and white shots. And I always love when you do those, because it seems like the way that you capture that image, it just has a very unique look to it. Is there something special that you're doing to those photos when you're turning them from color to black and white?
Yes, sometimes I do. Of course, it's different film in the camera and all, but
Yeah.
um, so sometimes I do it for different reasons. Sometimes I'm actually not a huge black and white fan, but I've actually learned to love it. And in the right image, in the right setting, like I got some great pictures of Jeff Anthony over at Sohop that were in black and white. And again, lighting is a little bit sketchy, and so sometimes it works out better. I got all these color imbalances going on, and I can just click a button, and it's like, oh, that looks kind of cool. So there's actually a picture of Pino that I posted a couple 2-3 weeks ago that I actually kind of had it in the dud pile. I didn't really care for it. And it's strange, when I go through all the images, I I try to go through and favorite all the ones that have possibilities of making the cut. And then, once I have all the favorites, if I need more of blah blah blah, I'll go back and dig deeper. Um, but once I get all the favorites chosen, then I go in and start making adjustments to each and every one of them. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes people don't really realize, but I got an image that I worked on for a friend of mine that, I spent 3 hours on one image. Okay. But it's for a special cause, and, it's something I can't speak about right now. It's a Operation Cobra right now. It's a little secret, but it's tough, and sometimes it gets frustrating, when I'm sitting down and it gets overwhelming. And sometimes I can only sit down and work on them for like an hour at a crack, and I gotta take a break, come back and work on them some more. Um, but yeah, it's quite a process, and because it doesn't make sense to. I mean, I mean, really like the stuff that I post that I really love. I like to clean distractions up. I mean, now with um, with AI, and as much as I really try to stay away from using
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, if there's one thing that a music photographer like me personally that I hate mic stands. Okay. You you musicians gotta stop using those dang things.
Or move the damn thing, right? I mean, for
Well,
singers, it's easy. Other
yeah,
musicians, it's difficult because they need it there, unless they go with a wireless headset or something.
of
But
course. And I understand the whole
yeah.
thing, but
I hate them too, Jim. I'll tell you, it drives me nuts because there's some pictures that you or some of the other photographers
yeah,
that shoot the scene. It's a great picture, but then you got that damn mic stand in there.
yeah.
And sometimes it's
You you
on.
won't
Yeah,
you won't see that in my pictures, Mike.
good man, good man.
You know, I don't I don't like to remove them with AI because stupid
It
things
distorts the
happen.
picture sometimes too.
Sure,
The
next
subject.
thing somebody's grandmother shows up in there, for crying out loud.
If my grandma showed up in there, it'd be pretty scary because she's been gone for a while.
What's scary is when the weddings would have the throwaway cameras and leave them on the table.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because when you do the AI stuff, certain things, like, but I've actually been able to get away with it on some things that are pretty amazing. But anyways, as a photographer, I work my rear end off to get to myself into the right position. And it's kind of interesting, experience really prevails. But sometimes, after a shoot, when you get back and you look at all the images, like, oh geez, I should have taken more from this perspective. It's always woulda, coulda, shoulda. Because my expectations are, I want the world for my customers. I always want to put out the best product for whoever I'm working for. And it's just best. And the one thing that I learned that I hate microphones the most is like at like Carrie Divine Invitational, at the Coterie events, because you guys got 17 of them.
Well, we cut that down to 15, man. Come on, let's get the facts straight, pal.
Jim, what's that phone number? One more time to get a hold of you.
It's 847-693-8403.
And you do not do mic stands, correct?
That's
I
right.
don't I don't do mic stands.
Right, and what if the mic stand has an iPad connected to it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah. With a 14-inch screen.
oh yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah. thanks for bringing that up, Mike. That's
That's a message
especially
for
like
everybody.
when I go to do a duo or something, they all got an iPad, so, but I get it. I guess it's just part of life, so yeah, I mean, the iPads, they're tough to remove, but like when you have something like that going through their instrument or going through, their face, obviously, I wouldn't take a picture like that, but there's certain things that are just kind of like out of bounds that you can't really fix. And so like if I go to fix something like on the what do you call that, the head of the guitar where they tighten the strings at,
Machine head.
The stock.
What's it called?
Stock.
The headstock. Yeah.
Headstock.
Yeah.
Don't ask Bongo Mike. He's a banger.
Or the
Yeah.
bass player.
And I just
What
know
the hell do I know?
I just know f stops and shutter speeds,
Yeah.
But like if there's a mic stand that goes through that headstock, sometimes when I go through and I want to AI it and to get rid of it, it'll change the knobs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I respect the musicians and the tools that they use. And I don't want somebody looking at my picture and going, "It's not my guitar." A lot of it I could get away with, but
How about a music stand? How about
just
a big black music stand?
but Mike, I want to promise you, I never have used AI on any of your pictures. Okay.
Me either. Mikey,
Yeah.
where are you guys playing next? April.
Black Diamond Sessions.
Thursdays.
April 5th. Broken Oar. 2:30 to 6.
And then Mikey Dermont, talk to me about the Coterie.
Wait, you know what? I'm on a hiatus here for a little bit, man. The only thing I got coming up is a family trip to the Smoky Mountains over spring break, and then I got some business travel. I seriously do not have another Coterie Friction core event until the fall, and we'll see what happens between now and then. It's just a crazy schedule on my end, so it's hard to coordinate that stuff. So hopefully I'll be enjoying some live music, checking out some of the local bands, and definitely checking out some of that fine work, that masterpiece art that Jim Obi-Wan Kenobi puts together.
Jim Knobbe, Mike
Thank you.
Dermont, Mike Orfanos. Thank you so much for coming out to the Hogpod Chicago
Jim,
Local Music
thanks for
Podcast.
joining us today.
Awesome job, Mike. Jim,
That's
thank
it.
you. Thank
That's
you.
it.
That's
You got anything else?
That's it.
You left it all on the table.
Dude, you put it out there, Jim. And Jim, I do want to say thank you so much for everything that you do, man. I loved hearing the whole backstory. I do thank Pino for getting the opportunity to meet you, because had it not been for your fantastic pictures, I would have never had the opportunity to reach out for you. So thank you very much. I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, and I want to thank all you musicians. You guys are
Hey,
the
you're
community.
part of the community, man. And I love your story, because you said so much about how this music community, that's what this show is about, right? It's about the music scene, and just how you are now part of that. Your instrument happens to be just different than the instruments we play.
We're scribes, Jim. We're scribes.
Yeah.
Scribes. Thank you, brother.
There's not a musician out there that I don't love, so I appreciate all you.
I'll give you a few names.
Never say never. All right, boys.
Take care.